So we're here in the green room at the Real Estate Agency Summit here in the Theatre Royal in Waterford. And I'm delighted, this is really an exclusive, guys. I'm delighted to be joined by Tom Panos, Australia's, and I would say the world's #1 real estate coach and trainer. Thank you very much for
Thank you so
speaking
much,
to me
Carl.
today. Tom, just first of all, I want to say I'm in awe from your speech. It
Oh,
was
thank you.
absolutely spectacular. And you know, even for people who mightn't know much about real estate agency, or it's just really special to hear your story and your life story. But
Thank
you're
you.
very welcome to Ireland. Your
Thank
first,
you.
not just your first time in Ireland, but your first time in Waterford here in the sunny southeast. I suppose, Tom, why Waterford?
So I spoke at an event that Regina was at, who organised this event, and she asked me. I wasn't going to do it, but Kyle, one of the things about life, as you get older, you start looking at collecting experiences versus collecting possessions, if you know what I mean. And I just thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to go there. It's probably the best time of the year to go to Ireland because I'm going to leave the cold of Sydney and come to the warmth of Ireland, which didn't actually happen.
No,
But that's
no.
another.
I was just going to
that's
say it to you. Yeah.
other issue. So it's deep down, I have a lot of the decisions I make now less about commercial but more about experiences.
Okay. And it's interesting. I think while you're here, we want to ask you about the local market and what's going to happen, because you're one of the most experienced real estate agents in the world and you're here for the first time. I suppose agents here are wondering where they're going to stand within the next 3 years. Where do you see the Irish market going?
So Kyle, I think we've got to come to an acceptance that what we've had in recent years, particularly post-COVID, is not a normal market. We've had a boom going on. And I think that boom is coming to an end. So I actually spoke about it in my session that right now, if you look closely enough, if you look at a lot of the experienced agents out there and they look closely with their glasses on, they'll see that there's a little bit of air coming out of this real estate balloon. It's not obvious, but to those that are very experienced, they know days on market's growing, interest rates are going to go up most likely. There's talk of that happening in Ireland soon. We've got the war, that's no clarity, cost of living. And I think there comes a time where scales of economy mean that people can no longer afford to pay a specific price. So you can't expect to keep having growth. Rents here, Kyle, are as bad as I've seen anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world.
And how do they compare to Australia, Tom?
So Australia's known as being one of the most expensive places in rents, but I'm shocked. I actually think Ireland is even more. Yeah. So it is an issue. I mean, Ireland has actually got a lot of talent that's come here, mainly because of the tech companies, your Googles, your Metas that have got, headquarters here. And I don't think that in Ireland that have been building enough properties as people come in. There was a bit of an exodus during the 2007, 2008, lost a lot of talent, a lot of people in the trades, and I think we've got a demand and supply problem in Ireland. There is not enough homes here, and that is impacting both tenants and also buyers. But I do think the market is changing because there's a lot of noise going on in the world at the moment.
Certainly. So I suppose within the next maybe 3 to 5 years, do you see this, Tom, in Ireland locally as being a buyer's or a seller's market?
I think we're moving from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And I think that the cycle will probably it could take another year or so till it becomes so obvious. And then I think we might have, it's so dependent on interest rates. Interest rates are the big thing. The correlation between the markets and interest rates is the single one factor that determines whether markets go up. So a lot of it's got to do with interest rates. Now, Kyle, inflation is a worldwide problem, and interest rates are the tool that they use to control inflation. So I do believe that we probably will see inflation ease in the next year or two.
You have decades of experience within the industry. I was looking you up last night and I was just watching all your videos, and it's great to see how visual you are. That is so important. You mentioned out on the stage, videos, visuals. How did you know, when was that turn in the market when you knew it was videos, it was social media that took over?
So believe it or not, it was watching the behavior of my young daughters when they were 13, 14 years of age. I would notice that given the option of consuming something, whether it was in text or video, they would also pick the video. So it became very clear to me that we had a new behavior. Given the choice, people would rather just press click and watch. So that was probably a decade ago. And Kyle, we know now there are no more blind dates in business. I mean, the reality is, I walked onto that stage today. I have no physical relationship with that audience, but I have a video relationship with that audience because we're connected on social media. So there's no more blind dates in business. Everyone knows everything. And I think we've all got to accept that little mobile phone now is everyone's TV station. We all have a TV station. You know?
Exactly. Tom, you touched there just kind of on your personal life and how your multiple cancer diagnoses changed you as a person. You have more gratitude towards people, but you also touched on the kind of the winners of the world and the 9 calls before 9 a.m. What separates the top 1% from everyone else?
Okay. So it's really interesting, Kyle, because you can turn around and say to yourself, they're two different things: the human being, how they think, and the skills that they do, right? I believe that the top 1% are firstly good people, right? There's no point being a bad person that is highly well trained and having all the behaviors and skills, because at the end of the day, the public is not stupid. One thing I'll notice about Irish people, they have a laugh, they like to have a Guinness. But one thing is, they're not stupid, and they can smell commission breath a mile away. They want to know they're dealing with the real deal. So the first thing I'll say, the top 1%, they tell the damn truth. They don't highly exaggerate. Number two, they're basically happy people, right? Like, Kyle, here's my view. A happy agent becomes a successful agent. Not a successful agent becomes a happy agent, because there's a lot of people in real estate that say, oh, if I earn, €1 million, then I'll be happy. Listen, if you're not happy what you're doing right now, you won't be happier later. You're just a person that is an unhappy person, right? We have clear research that in the world, once you're past poverty level, making extra money is not going to necessarily make you happy.
That's the Harvard study you're on about.
Harvard study, right? It's very, very clear. If you can actually have the food that you want, live in a reasonable place in the area that you'd like, and are able to pay for your health treatment and maybe a few little extras, a few holidays throughout the year, right? You're not going to get that much happier if you double your income, right? Because you can only sleep in one bed, you can only really have 3 meals. So I think people that understand that it's not a money-driven job, but it is a people-driven job. Life is so much better. So I would say the top 1%, and I've got to say this, Kyle, it doesn't matter whether you're in Ireland, whether you're in the United Kingdom, in the United States, in Australia, in Canada, the top 1% are client-centric. They tell the damn truth. They do have to have thick skin, because they don't like us in real estate. So there's a fair bit of rejection. So you do have to be thick-skinned, Teflon if you like, let things slide, yeah. Right? Let things slide. And I think most importantly, you got to actually also look at your life outside of real estate. You've got to sleep well, eat well, and exercise well, because it is a highly energized business. You go from the heights of exhilaration to the depths of depression on one phone call. And it's this ability to pick yourself up. So I think the potential in Ireland for people in real estate is incredible, because I do think in some ways the business here is a few steps behind other places in the world.
Well, dare I say, if I put real estate aside for a minute and just talking about my own life, I've learned so much from this man in the last hour than I have in a long time. Tom Panos, thank you so much.
Carl,
and you're very welcome to Ireland, and hopefully you'll get in that Guinness.
Thank you so much.